Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ask YP Now show. This is a show focusing on positive living, work-life balance, living with passion and success in life and business, and most importantly, making the world a better place. And I'm so excited this morning, afternoon, evening, because I've got my good friend Jeff with me. Jeff is known as a business doctor, and believe it or not, YP has actually got a business coach. And it's none other than Jeff, the business doctor. He's been coaching me for the last 8 years. So everything that you've learned from me that's good comes from Jeff, or almost everything, right? So Jeff, over to you. Can you spend 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself?
G'day there, YP, and g'day everybody out there in the land that I can't see. Welcome along tonight, and thanks for inviting me for a bit of a chat. A bit about my background. I've had about 4 jobs in the last 40 odd years. I've been a management accountant with a large mining company here in Australia. I was a commercial manager of the second largest division of a major bank here in Australia. I was a general manager of a $25 million a year advertising agency. And I've owned several businesses along the way and still own several businesses. But I've been business coaching for the last 25 years. And that's where my passion lies. I love the realization that people can make bucket loads of money.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Yeah, and I guess one of your most interesting client is me, right? Say yes. You got no choice but to say yes because this is my show.
You're the best. You've learned the most. You've expanded the most.
Okay, enough. Flattery will get you everywhere, Jeff. Okay, Jeff, people are saying that the economy is tough out there, okay, especially in Australia. What are your thoughts?
In relation to Australia?
Australia, I mean, or worldwide, if you can, is it still possible to grow our business, right now in this current economic
absolutely. One of the things that people need to realize in this marketplace is, and I only know about the Australian market, you would know more about the international market, but would some of the viewers have experienced their governments giving away those COVID stimulus? Would anybody receive COVID stimulus?
Yep, some of our listeners are from Australia. They would have, I guess. Yeah.
Well, that's 100 billion. There is so much money in the system now that's never been here before. The place is awash with cash. Now, if your business is not getting a slice of that cash, it could be because you're in a different market segment. So you need to be looking at individual markets in your individual land of operation. So in answer to the question, are there opportunities out there? Absolutely. There's opportunities at your feet. You've just got to be opening your eyes to make sure that you see it at your feet.
So, Jeff, you're saying that, there's 100 billion in circulating around. Where could you possibly, find part of these billions?
It's in the growing industries, certainly here in Australia. But one of the big things that's happening around the world globally is there is an employee shortage. There's a shortage of employees. Now, that's going to have flow-on effects to huge market spaces. Employees are not going to be available in hospitality because hospitality is low paying typically. And when you get hospitality that's low paying, those employees, which are highly sought after, are going to be chasing more money in a bigger market space. So as employers, we need to be looking at saying, if we want to grow our business, the leverage is that you're only going to get leverage from 2 things. Either you've got software or you've got staff. So you need to have staff to go and sell something. You need to have software to go and give you leverage. So staff or software is how you leverage your business. The market segments that are going to be booming at the moment is anything to do with the service industries. If you're selling a product, it could be a clothesline, it could be a washing machine, it could be a plumbing service, it could be a painting service, it could be any sort of service industry where you have to have a skill. That is booming at the moment. And if you ring up to hire any tradesman to come and fix a leaky tap or a plumbing disaster or something like that, you're going to have to wait, and you're going to be paying absolutely through the nose to get that tradesman to come around to your door. So a lot of the market segments are absolutely booming, and you just can't get the staff. So I don't agree with that thing that the marketplace is crashing. Yes, inflation is there, but not forgetting the reason why we've got inflation is because the government is raising the interest rates, and they're raising the interest rates to slow down the spending because there's so much cash in the system.
Okay, that's interesting. So you say that there are certain sectors or quite a few sectors that's booming. So am I right to say that the economy is improving?
I think it's been through a big improvement so far.
Okay.
The real estate sector is the one that gets the biggest noise about it, but there's a lot of activities going in all industries, and I think we're seeing a more stabilizing. We're not rising as much. So we're certainly not heading for a decline. Some sectors of the marketplace here in Australia, the eastern states, which is Sydney and Melbourne, are starting to see some decline, but that's more of a flattening out and a normalization coming out of a boom.
Okay. So there's a saying that all ships rise with the tide. So as the market stabilizes, improves, recovers, and so on, all businesses are going to grow. So if I don't want to be the average business, I want to do faster than all the rest of my competitors, what should I be focusing on?
Well, obviously, the first thing is marketing, and there's a number of things about marketing. There's 5 key areas of marketing. You've got to get leads coming in the door, prospecting. You've got to convert those leads. Then you've got the average dollar sale value, and then you've got to look at profit margin, and then the number of transactions that the people are doing. So that's the 5 ways of marketing that everybody needs to be working on. But you also need to be looking at the other things inside your business as to, is it going to be profitable? Do you know your numbers? Have you got the accounting side of it right?
I think knowing the numbers is so, critical or essential in running a business, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so sorry,
just
go ahead.
if I can interrupt on that one, saying that knowing the numbers, a lot of clients when they come on board with me initially, I say, how your business is going, they turn around and start talking about their turnover. Turnover is nothing. Turnover is just ego. Turnover doesn't really matter that much. It's what is your gross profit margin, the dollar, what's your gross profit dollar, and what's your net profit. You start your business to make money. What are you taking out of your business? How much is your business earning your net profit? That's the key metric.
Okay. So perhaps, it'd be good for us to hear from you, some of the success stories, what has some of your clients achieved in let's say, the last 2 years, People are saying that the pandemic's the worst time for businesses, but I'm sure there are people who benefited from that situation.
Yeah. There certainly has been some horror stories. Hospitality is one, and that's accommodation, cafes, restaurants, hotels, anything to do with hospitality or holidays has been decimated across the planet, not just in Australia, but across the planet. Everywhere is suffering from that, and there's no way of getting around it. However, now that the borders now opened up in many, many countries where they're getting rid of all the restrictions, hospitality is coming back really, really fast. But you'll also notice that the prices when you want to go to those places are going to be a lot more expensive than what they were. That's where this inflation is coming in, and there's big price demands being placed by employees upon the employer. So prices for labour is going to go up. So people are going to have to pay more. But yes, there are opportunities out there all over the place.
Yeah. Will you be able to share some, you don't have to mention names, but, some success stories in the sense of, somebody from a particular industry so that, people can get their head around, doing the right things. Yeah.
Sure. We'll talk about John.
Okay.
That's not his real name.
Okay. I bet his last name was Doe. Yeah.
Say again?
I bet his last name was Doe.
Well, it was either that or Smith.
Okay.
So John Smith owns a business here in Perth. When he came on board with me 2 and a bit years ago, so just before COVID hit, he puts these types of drains into the ground to catch the water so people's houses and factories don't flood. He started as a one-man band doing $50,000 a year. He's now got 4 employees, and he's doing $20,000 weeks.
Wow.
So he's doing, instead of $50,000 a year as a one-man band, he's now doing $1 million a year, and that has been through COVID. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
I got another one that's got a juice bar, a retail business. We absolutely got smashed during COVID, but coming out of COVID, we've built the business up. We're back to full complements of staff. So each shop, we've got 4 shops. Each shop is now running with about 8 to 10 employees each. So we're talking a cadre of 50 employees. I've got another client, Joe Smith. It's his brother of John. Joe Smith. He's got an electronic business selling ebooks, and he sells these ebooks for $19.95 each. I can see them up on my bookshelf over here, based in America. And he's gone from, this is over 5 years, he's gone in 5 years from $2 million to 17 million.
Wow.
He's netting out of the business, he's netting $3 million net, of which he takes $1 million for himself to spend, and he donates to charity in his church $2 million a year.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yes, there are businesses that are going broke, but some make money.
So are there some common patterns among the 3 examples that you shared? What were the things that the owner did right? What were the things that they did, that helped them, do this massive, 3x, 4x, and more x, of their business? Yeah.
I think the big thing that they did, and this is not to be stupid, but they're doing the stuff that their competitors aren't. They're not listening to this rubbish about how it's all doom and gloom, because yes, there are businesses that are suffering, but the statistics are that here in Australia, 80% of all businesses fail within 10 years. 80%. Now, if you ask any of those 80 businesses, do you intend to fail? They're all going to turn and say no. But typically the reasons why they fail comes down to their skill set. They don't have the skills to manage a bigger business. They think they can, but when you are making ice creams, or when you're making widgets, or when you're making whatever you're making, being a good maker of those doesn't make you a good business manager of those.
That's right.
So you need to learn the skills to manage the business, not the actual product or service that you're delivering.
I think that was quite well illustrated in the book, The E-Myth, isn't it? Yeah, talking about people or employees who think they're good at doing one particular thing, go into business and then go, oops, I didn't realize that running a business has got, 99 other different components apart from production. Yeah.
So when you're a business, if you can imagine that you've got when you're working in the business on the tools, and it takes you maybe 10 years to become a good tradesman, or a lawyer, accountant, or whatever you're doing, a computer programmer or teacher, it takes you 10 years to learn all of your stuff, all your technical stuff. Now, you're down here looking down here, but all the stuff up here, you're not taught how to recruit staff, how to terminate staff, how to negotiate leases, how to buy vehicles, how to price your product, how to back cost. You're not taught any of that stuff, because that's not even in your horizon. So that's the thing that business owners need to be learning. And to say that it's going to be any better now is not, because unless you learn the stuff, and nobody's born a successful business person. You learn it as you go along. You become successful. And some of the businesses that I've dealt with are labouring businesses, and they're making $1 million a year as a labouring business, digging holes.
What do you mean by labouring?
Labouring is where you work on a shovel or operate a machine or dig something out of the ground.
Okay. And that's $1 million business?
It's going to be more, because we're also adding new products onto it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I just didn't know
so
that.
Out of the clients that I've got, 80% are expanding as fast as we can. And the hard part is the first priority we've got is keeping staff, and then recruiting more staff. So, and you asked the simple question about what's some of the challenges. I go and ask, one of the other businesses that I own is an employment agency as well. And you ask employers, do you want A, B, or C grade employees? And the business owner naturally turned around and said, well, I only want A grade employees, of course. And I said, okay, well, are you an A grade employer? Because I've got the employees and they're smart and they are A grade, but why would they come and work for you? What makes you special? Why should they leave where they are? Because here in Australia, we're down to 3% unemployment. Why would I give up my good job that I've got here and come and work for you?
Gee, that's a hard-hitting question. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ask YP Now live show. In case you are listening to the recording of this, I have to here with me Jeff Miles, the business doctor, who has actually been my business coach for the last 8 years. Not many of you, know that I've got a business coach, but I do have one. All of us, all of us professionals will need somebody to help us see things that we don't see for ourselves. Sometimes we are so blindsided working in the business or even working on the business that we get hit by a truck that's coming from a direction we don't expect. Okay. And Jeff has been very good. He has saved me from quite a few, I would say, potential train wrecks, helping me look at certain things. Okay. That I have not even thought about. Okay. Right. So Jeff is saying that, if you want to attract A-grade employees, the question we could ask ourselves are we A-grade employers, So, and I thought it was a hard-hitting question because I've never thought about it that way. I've always been thinking that I just want to attract people and never thought that as an employer, am I attractive enough, So on this point, this is a pretty important point, Jeff, Can you just share with our audience, what makes a grade A employer?
Is the employer, because you've always got two sides to the story. You've got the employer that is paying money to the employee and they don't want to pay too much. And you've got the employee that wants to earn more money. So the employer needs to prove to the employee. Now, this is for someone that wants to expand and recruit more staff. So if you want them to recruit more staff, that employee is already happily working somewhere else, probably sitting there waiting to get their next pay rise. And that boss does not want to see them go. So, and when an employer is recruiting, let's say they interview 10 people. Well, only one of them is going to get the job. There's 9 other people that are going to go back to their boss and turn around and says, I've just been approached by one of your competitors and they've offered me an extra $10,000 a year. Now, the employer now is going to have their back to the wall and they're going to have to either give them a pay rise or they will start looking again somewhere else. So what an employer needs to be doing is make it attractive, and they've got to recruit the right person. And when I say the right person, I don't like recruiting just because of money. And if somebody is exactly money driven, that's not the one I want. I want the person that's got the A grade attitude. They want to grow their career. They want to learn more. Yes, they want to earn more, but they want to learn more so that they can earn more. They want to step up and take more responsibility. They want to help manage the business. They want to get more satisfaction. Yeah, they're prepared to work their 40, 45, sometimes 50 hours, but they want to be compensated for that as well. And an A-grade employer needs to realize that and set them up so that they can be successful as well.
It is helping your employee. So this is a viewpoint employer, getting be on a good career path, be a characteristic of a great employer?
Yeah. One of the things I do with just that labouring business that I mentioned about where they dig holes.
Okay.
So that's pretty well at the bottom of the totem pole as far as a career goes. Now, we've even started a career pathway for those employees there. And they might start out doing manual work where they are digging holes and trenches and pipes and all that sort of stuff. Then we start teaching them about how to operate some of the excavators, some of the bulldozers, some of the trucks, some of the crane operations. So we're mapping them out. We're also teaching them how to work at elevated heights. We're also teaching them some basic plumbing. We're teaching them how to weld. We're teaching them how to drill and make things and manufacture. And that's a 2 to 3 year period. One of my clients is a sign writing business, and we've just put a person through a certificate level course, which took about 8 months. and cost my client 7,000 Australian dollars.
Wow.
So we're really serious about spending money because we don't want this employee to leave. He's a terrific employee. We're lucky to have him, and we map out his career pathway for him so he knows where he's going to over the next 2 or 3 years, and it's in writing. And that now puts the acid onto my client to turn and say, well, we better be big enough and strong enough and be an A-grade employer enough to hold on to the guy because he's trained. I've had some of my clients come to me and say, so Jeff, you want me to spend $5,000 or $7,000 on this employee? Well, what happens if I train him and he gets all these smarts and he learns how to do all this stuff, and then he gets stolen away by one of my competitors? And I say, yeah, you're right there. You're right. Why don't we just leave him untrained and let him stay? You've got to be looking after your employees. You have no choice. If you don't look after them, somebody else will.
I suppose, I've got a situation where I know somebody who refuses, is a she refuses to leave her company for a potentially higher paying job. Is because how well the company looks after her in terms of the benefits, her relationship conditions, and so on, to make it convenient for her to be a FIFO and yet have a relationship, right?
And these are what I call hygiene factors. You can't have people that are sitting in an office if you've got particular beliefs where you don't like abusive language or swearing or something like that, and that company supports that sort of thing or doesn't manage that outcome, then that employee is going to leave. You need to be looking at your employees and saying, well, what sort of a company do I want to have? And I'm not saying don't swear. I'm not saying don't drink. I'm not saying don't restrict yourself. You need to be living true to yourself. But if you are now going against the values of your employees, they're not going to stick around.
True.
And does this mean that you need to change your business? Yes. In this marketplace, if you're not looking after your employees, somebody else will.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. So just to come back to one earlier thing that you mentioned earlier about sales, and you're saying that sales is very important, and you mentioned certain certain parts of sales. Could you just repeat that and why those parts are important?
Okay. So first of all, you start out with your sales, but sales are generated by your cost of goods. So this is your labor. So if you're a plumber or a painter or something like that, your staff, your painters are out there painting walls or whatever they're doing. They might getting paid whatever their dollar rate, say $30 an hour in Australia. Now you'll be charging them out at say $110 an hour. Because if you're not getting a 3 times multiple on your labor, you're nuts. You're crazy.
Okay.
What are you doing it for? You need to be making a 3 times multiple on your staff at least. Now, depending on the audience here, how much or what the currency is, it depends on the currency. I'm only talking in Australian dollars. The other thing you need to be remembering is that your sales don't matter that much. It is your cost of goods away from your sales, and that equals the most important thing, which is your gross profit. Gross profit percentage now, depending on the industry, and I've coached over 200 businesses in the last 25 years, and the average GP margin that an average business needs to be going towards is north of 45% towards 50%. So this is any trade business. A legal practice, you'd be looking at, say, 4 times markup. So if you're paying a lawyer $100,000 a year, you want them to bill out $400,000 a year. So every industry has got different margins. And if you want to find, if your listener is smart and they want to find out, how do we find out what our margins should be? Here's a little inside tip. Go and speak to a business broker about buying a competitor. Go and speak to a business broker about buying a competitor. He will have all the financials for the last 3 or 4 years, and he will give them to you. voluntarily. You'll have to sign a non-disclosure form, but now you've got the numbers of one of the biggest competitors in your market space. So what?
That's why I love having you as a business coach, Jeff. You really think out of the box.
This is basic stuff. Come on, this is basic stuff. So now this business broker is thinking that you're a buyer, and you are genuinely. If you can negotiate the price. Now, negotiating the price. Now, the ones that I love getting things on vendor terms, but that's a whole other series of questions. What you're looking for is, how is that business down the road charging 50% more than me? These are questions that you need to be asking yourself. When you're looking at recruiting somebody, let's say it's a painter. Give me recruit. Who's one of your clients? YP? Name one of your clients. What business? What sort of business?
Let's say into selling of wine. Wine. Okay. Selling wine. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I want to know if I'm in the wine industry, and I want to know, am I making enough money? Am I charging enough? So when I run an advert, let's say I'm recruiting for a salesman. It doesn't matter, whatever it is, but I'm a salesman. Mm-hmm. So if I was interviewing you, YP, and you were the salesman for XYZ wine company over there, and I asked you some questions like, YP, thanks very much for coming in today and talking to me. I just want to ask you some questions about what you do with the current employer. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you tell me, as a salesman, what's your sales target every month? Oh, it's $200,000 a month? Great. And of that, how many clients need to make up that 200,000? Oh, 23? 20. Okay. So we're looking at maybe $100,000 per client as an average sale value over a lifetime value per year. And what's the order size that you normally deal with? $5,000 per order on average. How many times do these people order from you? What do you mean you don't know? What do you mean? You're the salesman working at this company. You've worked there for the last 3 years. Why don't you know? Okay, let's move on to another question then. When you take on a new client, do you go out and prospect for new clients, or are they given to you on a plate through Google AdWords or something like that? Or you go out and prospect? So do you prospect in a geographic area, or are you just open slather? Another question: Do you have colleagues in your? Oh, you got 5 other salespeople in the same company? Great. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'd like to do, YP, is if I'm going to recruit you for this wine industry, obviously you're still working there because you're an A-grade employee. I can't ring up your boss and say, hey, can you tell me what YP's like because I'd like to offer him a job? That's going to risk your employment. But YP, I'm going to have to represent you to my client, or I'm going to be recruiting you. I have to talk to the boss or the managing director, and I have to tell them what I think about you. So YP, you mentioned that there's 5 other people on your sales team. Do they do a similar job to you with similar targets and similar expectations? They do? Oh, okay, great. Okay. Look, I'm going to need to speak to 1 or 2 of them, whoever your colleagues are, that will keep quiet about you applying for another job. But would you be able to tell me their name and organise and warn them that I'd like to ring them up and just confirm what you're saying is true with them? Would that be okay?
Okay.
Good. So you give me the name of Mary and Frank. And now I ring Mary and Frank. Hi, Mary. YP has obviously told you that he's applying for another position. He said that you're doing a very similar role within that company selling wine. I'd just like to ask some questions. YP has already asked you to talk to me. Can I ask you, what's his target? He said that he's doing a similar job to you. Is that correct? Oh, it is good. Can I ask you what his targets are? He's told me his targets. Oh, it's $400,000 a year targets. Okay, great. And what's the average sale dollar value that he's dealing in? I said, okay, that's fantastic. He's telling me the same thing. And do you do the same sort of thing as he does? You do? Oh, fantastic. Did you like that interview?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at it from a management point of view, what I just got. I've just taken one candidate to 3. So I can now target George and Mary as well. This is management. This is what you need to be thinking of. If you're not thinking like this is not sneaky. This is business. This is what you're supposed to be doing when you're running a business. Because if you don't know this stuff, how the heck are you going to protect your staff from when your competitor comes knocking on your door and he starts trying to steal your staff, which he will. They can't get staff, so they're going to come knocking on your door. All businesses need to be aware of this.
I like those questions because that gives you the one interviewing a deeper picture into the company from a perspective of one of their, employees rather than, from whatever reports that they give, public information. Yeah. And if you look at, what each of the salesperson have to do, multiplied by 5, if all of them have got similar targets, you can start to think, to know the turnover, the expectation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So for those of you who are listening in and you enjoy this part of the conversation, how Jeff thinks really, to me, he's always thinking, he says it's basic, but maybe I'm below basic, because I think that some of the ideas he has is really, really innovative or creative, things out of the box, and really from the viewpoint of a business owner, he thinks really differently. And so if you want to know what he does and perhaps get in touch with him, I've got his Facebook page up here on the screen. This is how you get in touch with him, right? So, one thing about Jeff and me, we are both passionate about one thing. We're very passionate about helping business owners. And, I had to, twist his arm and twist his leg. And I basically got a whole, a choke on his neck for him to agree to do something with me. Yeah, because he's such a busy person. And I said, can you sacrifice one Saturday to be with me and help, the community of business owners to improve their business. Okay, so Jeff, do you want to be the one that reveal what we're going to do this Saturday?
No, I don't.
Because you're going to be the main person on
I didn't want to do that thing. You're the one that wanted me to do it.
Okay.
You're the one that's forcing me to do it. So you can tell them.
Okay. So basically, this Saturday, Jeff and me, we're going to do what we call a business mastery deep dive. We're going to look at, 3 main parts of the business plus one more bonus. Okay. Yep. So we did mention about sales, So in any business, there are 3 components that we've got to be really, really looking out for, or else we'll go bust. Number 1 is your lead generation. What are the methods that you're using to attract your prospects, right? So you must have sufficient prospects for you to achieve your financial goals. So this is all about lead generation. Jeff is going to talk a lot about, the offline, because that's his specialty, the in-person. And Jeff is really very good at, lead generation without having to spend a fortune, okay? And I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the online versions and how to get leads online with relatively small budget, okay? So that's a lead generation part, okay? And every business needs lead generation. And what's the second thing? You may have a lot of leads, but if nobody is buying, you go, correct? So the sales conversion is the next part. So, we're going to share with you how to make your offer irresistible in such a way that when people look at it, they don't have to think twice. They just want to, come and take out their wallet or their credit card and say, hey, how can we buy? Okay. So we are going to talk about the magic of sales conversion. And then the third part is this. You just don't want single transaction customers. That's what I call them. You want people just to come and buy from you once, and then you never ever see them again. Okay. Right. We want to have repeat sales. And not only do we want repeat sales, we want them to refer their uncle, auntie, father, mother, and every single person they know. In my words, you want them to be standing up on a rooftop and shouting about your product and services. And this is what we call raving fans. Okay. So we're going to share with you ideas how you can grow raving fans. Okay. And then after that, there's a 4th section, which I will not say it here, but it's a bonus. Okay. This bonus would actually double, triple. And what was the number we worked out, Jeff? 4 times, the secret strategy that we have that's going to accelerate your your business growth. It'll be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times.
No. It's going to accelerate your business net profit.
Okay.
400%. But there's conditions. It's an
okay.
This is 4
and you
times.
only find out if they attend, isn't it? Okay. Right. So this this is me doing a little bit of sales pitch now. Okay. So basically, this workshop is at 497 USD. Okay, and we thought that we just want to help people. Okay, and we just need to cover some of the basic costs. So you can get it for only $97 using the promo code VIP special. That's it. You're getting an 80% cut. Jeff and me will be just eating cornflakes for dinner after that. Jeff always tells me never give discounts, but hey, I really want to help people out there. So if you're listening to it, you've got basically 24 hours to grab this, because this workshop is this coming Saturday. It's going to start at 10 a.m. Perth time, which is Singapore, Hong Kong, Manila, 10 a.m. If you're other states, you go figure it out yourself. Okay. Whew. So that's enough from me. Okay, so Jeff, what are your parting words to all the business owners or the listeners, listening in? What's the one tip that you want to give them so that they can thrive in the new normal?
Don't focus on turnover. Focus on net profit. Okay. So your first goal is how much you're getting out net profit. Now, you should be able to do a reasonably big turnaround in your business in 90 days. So on the weekend that we're going to be talking about, I want to give you enough tools that makes it so you can go back into your business. This is not about theory. I want to give you tools. So like that example I did when I recruited staff, I've recruited many hundreds of people. And I've headhunted many hundreds of people as well. And the thing you want to be doing inside this Saturday's workshop is looking at saying, I need tools to improve my net profit, not my turnover, my net profit. And and as a rule of thumb, and I can only speak in Australian dollars, the average, let's say your salary is $80,000 wherever you are, as a secretary, as a plumber, as a whatever you are. When you're in business, you want to get 3 times that. If you're not getting 3 times what you could as an employee, why are you in business? And that's what we're going to be talking about on Saturday. And this is the only thing I'm interested in. Turnover is just ego. When people say, I've got $2 million or $10 million, I don't care. What's your net profit? What are you walking away and putting in your pocket? What are you paying tax on? Because I've got accountants coming out my ears that can reduce your tax. But we need to earn the money first and give you a tax problem. Then the accountants get loose on it. They get rid of the tax problem. Whether you're buying houses, stocks, bonds, shares, I don't care where you invest your money. We've got to use your business to make the money, lots of it. 3 times what you'd get as an employee in the best job is what you should be earning out of your business.
Very good advice, Jeff. I think we've, basically, overshot the 30-minute mark. So yeah, that's very, very good tip. I'm sure that people don't mind us overshooting it because they are learning so much. And I think they're going to have a good taste of what's coming up this Saturday. Okay. So Jeff, with this, shall we say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.
Thank you, YP, for inviting me. See you guys.
Okay. Pleasure. Bye-bye.